is going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video review. Today we are going to take a look at an old figure. It is the Hot Toys Kuiil from Mandalorian, and you might be asking why, and same reason as Blurg. He is something that I always wanted but refused to pay full price. This is currently, at the time of this video, it's on sale at Big Bad Toy Store for 40% off. So he is $155, and any Hot Toys for $155, in my opinion, is worth considering, and especially for a franchise that I love, which is The Mandalorian. So for me, is it overpriced for $250? Of course, but for $150, I don't know, man. That is a price of a third party. I got 3-0. What do you call that? The Witcher. And that is more expensive than this. And this is a better, much better figure than that. This is a much better figure than most third-party figure that you will ever own. Now, he is, as a character, this might not entice you completely. But, as you know, for Star Wars, if you are collecting Star Wars, every character plays a part. Not every character is a main guy. You need guys that, especially if you're taking photography, like Stormtrooper or different kinds of troopers. They all play a part. That's why Dewback is so expensive in the aftermarket before Hot Toys came in the picture. It's because them themselves is a part of a larger picture. And that's how I feel about Kuiil and the Blurg. Trust me, any Star Wars, like even the and it hasn't come down yet, at least for the price that I wanted. It came down to around $145 several times, but the Transport Trooper, that is something on my radar as well. If it ever comes down to around that price, maybe Black Friday, I'm gonna get that too. But this guy right here, as you can see from unboxing, tons of accessories, decent enough. The stand, a stand that you would expect from a couple of years ago. And mind you, he doesn't have a rolling eyeball system. I think you already know that. He comes with decent amount of hands, that is to hold, what do you call that? The leash for Blurg. This is kind of pointing. And this is, I would say, for the control that he does have. This is the backpack. This is not magnetic. It should have been magnetic. Instead, they used a Velcro, and look at the texture of this backpack. This is really cool. Even when you hold it, it has some weight to it, and that's good and bad. Good in the sense that, hey, it's it has some weight to it, but bad in the sense that, my God, it keeps on falling off. And then you got his gun, his goggles, which is really functional as well, because he got several looks. Has a bucket for the food for the Blurg, and a couple of pouches, as you can see here. And this is the base that has sand, but it doesn't have the footprints on it. And then you got this thingy. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you call this. I think that's what he used to, fix the droid. And then you got a couple of pouches. It's on the instruction which one goes left or right. And this is the trunk for Blurg, which is magnetic. Pretty cool. And look at the entire tailoring for this guy. And it's pretty interesting because, like I said, he is not a normal size figure. So it's fascinating to see something like this. I can't remember. I've had some for Asmus and The Hobbit, but I don't think I've ever owned a Hot Toy at this size. And correct me if I'm wrong if they ever did one in the past. But I'm looking at my collection right now and nothing. So obviously everything's gonna be tailored to his size. Maybe this is the same body for Pool Kid, perhaps. Who knows? But yeah. So the boots, one piece, made out of plastic, but it's the details are nice enough that it looks leather as well. Not as good as this. The pouch and his backpack, to preserve that shape. They molded it. They could have used probably just, up leather I like the route that they went to. The only thing I didn't like is the fact that it's not magnetic. I watched Sideshow's first look. They said it was magnetic. It's not. It keeps on falling off. And then you go down here, the boots again. The pants is, the fabric is soft. It's like cotton. And then you got, this is all plastic as well. Molded plastic on his gauntlet. That is pleather. That little hook on his shirt. And then the way it's a waist grabber. It's not one of those crotch grabber. The head sculpt is quite nice, but you can see from this transition that it's a bit narrow, at least for my liking. And then the eyes are a bit closer, again, to my liking. And then the eyes are a little bit too deep, but you can see them. Like you can still see the eyes. It's not rolling eyeball system, unfortunately, but I think they did a great job of just texturing this guy. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it's a different lens that they're using to mine, but it just felt like it should have been a little bit wider. But all the details from his, I don't know what you call that, headphones or earmuffs on his helmet, they have some details on it. They are pretty consistent with the leather grain texture from the backpack to his headgear. That is pleather, the one on his goggles. And mind you, you can tighten the goggles, but I don't suggest you do so because you want to be able to pull it up and down without any friction on his face. The way it is set up right now, because I tried tightening it is perfect. So you can see that you don't want to, like just scratch that great looking face right there. I think Hot Toys did a really good job on the likeness, just the shape. Articulation wise, I have no issue with this figure as well. The neck is one piece with the head, so you can, do some, and then you can see here, you can articulate the mouth. You can put it down so the teeth is gonna show, not by a lot, but enough to kind of change the expression from closed to open. I mean, it's Kuiil, so you're not, expecting massive emotions out of his face, but enough. And for such a like a miniature figure, he has pretty good range. You can bend the elbows pretty tight there. You can raise the hands as high as you want. You can, I believe, you can, even 360 it if you want. But you got to be careful with his shirt. The pants, you can have him split. You can have him sit, especially if you're gonna put him right next to a blurg. That's an option as well. Have him kick up pretty high there. Bend his knees. So as far as articulation, there's some ankle movement as well. Very little because of how the boots is set up, the thread on the shoe. But like I said, for such a smaller figure, pretty good range of motion here. So you can pose him however you want. Speaking of poses, of course, that's the next, option we have here. Here he is pointing to his blurg, which I do have the blurg. I bought it separately. Because that's the cheaper route, and him holding the bucket. So this, like I said, they have a lot of uses. These guys, and even the bucket, you can use that for a different figure, but you can kind of tell a story. If you already have the Mandalorian, why not, right? Like it's not that expensive. That's my point here. But as a figure, look at him. He has a lot of presence, especially. I don't think I'm gonna do it here, because I want to keep this as Kuiil, because I like the fact that Hot Toys also gave you the option to have Kuiil and not have blurg, or one or the other. Blurg, you have 3 options. You can get with Kuiil by itself or with a Durasteel Mando. I don't know if collectors never liked this, or this is the time where Hot Toys were just making a lot, with Endgame. And any figure from around that 2021, 22, that around that COVID era, they're still sitting on the shelves. And if you're starting now, might be a good time to kind of load up on these figures that you kind of want, but you're kind of on the fence with. So with me, that is Kuiil. I wish I would have done the same, but the hype was real. at around that time. So every Endgame figure I bought, and now they're all on sale. So and this is him holding his rifle or shotgun. I don't even want to call that, but his gun. And this is him, with a gang, with IG-11, him, the first Mando. I never got the Crow Mando, but this is good enough for me. Finally, I got the trio. Man, I'm happy. Finally I got this. I still want more, like I said, and anything from that first season Mando, I'll get that. I'll get that. But final thoughts on the figure. Looks really good. I'm not surprised. I've like I said, I've watched tons of reviews. I've contemplated many times, but I just refuse to pay the full price for both him and Blurg. And patience pays. In this case, they were not on my priority list. I was just like, all right, if they ever come on sale, I'll jump on it. If that sale doesn't last and they sell out, then so be it. I've never had them for about 2-3 years now, so it's not really gonna kill me. But now I got both for what, $330, $340 maybe. So that's a normal price of a hot toy nowadays, $340. So getting and you gotta see Blurg in hand for yourself to appreciate how big it is. And then if you don't have the size, if you don't have the space, then you can just opt with Kuiil. I highly doubt they're gonna revisit him again. Spoiler alert, So if you are on the fence, I don't know which price point, because I don't know if he's ever gonna go down to maybe 50 or 60%. Are we gonna see that? It's not impossible, but how much really are you gonna save? Another $20 maybe? It's up to you, but I think it's already a pretty good price for what it is. Like $150 for Hot Toys is always a good deal. But let me know in the comments, is this something that you see you add to your collection? Love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching.